Hello dancers, welcome to Pilates with Z Moves, where we believe movement is the best medicine. I'm Emma, and today I'm going to guide you through a 45-minute workout, movement exploration, focused on mobility and stability in the pelvis. So I've had a lot of kind of pain in the pelvis because I was gripping a lot in my pelvic floor and in my glutes. And it took me a really long time to figure out that I was doing that. So my goal of this video was just to have a workout, something you can take with you. You can warm up before class, you can use on your off days just to recover or prepare for rehearsal or a dance class or a performance in a safe way where you're not encouraging bad patterns or weird patterns, where it's just really clear about what's going on and something very simple, yeah? So get ready to get a little bit of burn on. You're gonna feel some hip activity. You're gonna feel some glute and hamstring activity and some low core activity. It's a little vigorous, but it's not crazy. So let's start. Begin to drop into your breath. Start to send the breath into your pelvis. And let's place our hands on top of the space in between your pubic bone and your belly button. And just take a gigantic breath up into your hands. Imagine filling a balloon up with air, and then exhale all of your air out. Feeling the belly sink back into the mat. Let's try it again. Big inhale, belly rises. Really feel your belly stretch, and then exhale. That one more time. Stretch your belly even more than you did the last time. Stretch, 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 stretch. And then exhale, empty your lungs. All the air out. Just return to normal breathing for a second. And do a quick body scan. Starting from the back of your head, notice the weight of your head into the mat. Then move down to notice the space behind the back of your neck. See if you can measure how much space you have there. And then moving down to the back of your rib cage, the thoracic spine, as it dips towards the floor, creating a well for your lungs. And then follow that down to your low back as it curves away from the ground, allowing the natural curve to happen. And just measure how much space is living there at the moment. And then moving to the back of the pelvis, let's linger here for a little bit. Notice how heavy the back of your pelvis is into the ground. And as you're breathing, could you imagine all the bones of your pelvis widening away from one another? Creating a little bit of space between the bones, between the sacrum and the ilium in the back. Could your tailbone just unfurl a little bit? Could you allow the front of the pelvis to widen, those two bony prominences, the ASIS, open like a flower, away from one another. Letting any tension just melt away. And moving down to the legs. See if you can feel the weight of your thighs. Notice the space behind the backs of your knees. Could you measure the weight of your calves? Measure the space behind your ankles and the weight of your heel bones into the floor. And just for a moment, bring your awareness to your upper body. Could you soften your arms? Let go of the front of your throat. Maybe just let your head go from one side to the other. Then release the muscles of your face. And furrow the brow. Good, let's bend the knees and plant your feet down into the ground. And just take the heels of your hands and really dig the heels of your hands into your hip creases and just push your thighs away, allowing the top of your head to grow away from the base of your pelvis. Just let your tail wag from side to side, really giving that pressure into the thigh, feeling your back opening up. Cool, so let's do a little ab activation. So you're gonna bring your fingertips onto those two bony prominences, the ASIS, the anterior superior iliac spine. And we're gonna bring the fingertips 1 inch inside so that we're really palpating, feeling the musculature that lives right inside. Just a little self-massage moment. You can like dig into the inside of your pelvis, oof, and give yourself a little psoas massage. Good. So this is the musculature that we need to activate. So we're going to take a big inhale into the belly. Feel the muscles stretch out again. And then on your exhale, this time actively drawing the belly button in and back. And then feeling the front of the pelvis widen, like you're trying to press the two hip bones away from one another. And then underneath your fingertips, you should feel some tone. You should feel some muscle activity. And then you're going to take an inhale, release that muscle. And then exhale, drawing the belly button in, flat, and wide. Good. And let's just bring the hands to your buttocks and just kind of feel where those sit bones are. So just palpating into that tone, musculature, whatever's happening. And we're going to take another big belly breath. And then on your exhale, start to draw your abs in, flatten your abs wide. And just notice if you feel your sit bones, whether you're feeling it internally or through the palpation of your hands. See if you can feel them drawing together, your sit bones. And so let's next time, if you did feel that, see if you can not. So resisting the urge to clench the back of the pelvis and the glutes, and seeing if you can just activate the abs. So really isolating the work here. Big inhale up into the belly. And then exhale, flattening the abs wide, keeping the base of the pelvis relaxed. Good. So we're going to take that into a little pelvis rock, as our theme is mobility and stability of the pelvis. We're going to take an inhale
This time, trying to keep the abs pulled in, the pelvis wide. And then on your exhale, you're going to start to draw those abs in and up, almost like you're creating a V shape, an upside down V towards your belly button. And we're going to start to flatten the low back in the ground. The sit bones will come closer together. We don't want to do this by gripping. We're doing it by finding a deep core and just trying to let the back of the pelvis be. And then we're going to take an inhale into a neutral. So at this point, 2 hip bones, pubic bone are all level. You can take your thumbs, dig into your hip sockets, make sure your hip sockets are soft and they're not gripping either. Let's take that a few more times. Exhale, scooping, flattening the low back down. We'll inhale into that neutral. Think about hooking the sit bones into the ground. You can feel your glutes again. You can feel those sit bones widen and open, releasing the back of the pelvis. And then exhale, flattening the low back down, scooping the low belly. Try to keep that scooping sensation even as you send the pelvis into a neutral. Good, ribs are soft. Front of the throat is soft, chest is soft. One more time, exhale. Soften the chest, soften the shoulders. Use your hands where it feels useful. And then sending the pelvis into a neutral. Good, so we're gonna try to stabilize in this neutral pelvis. Maybe just take a peek, make sure you have some creases in the front of your pants. Your hip bones look level. If you have a little scoli, maybe try to weight one side down so both sides are level. And then just feel the bottoms of your feet. Let your feet spread wide. We're going to use this deep ab work in a stable position to keep the pelvis stable as we start to butterfly the knees open. So we're opening the knees, maybe not going to your full range right now. And then on your exhale, letting the thigh bones drop back to the back of your pelvis, coming back to your parallel legs. Good. We'll do that again. So we're widening the knees. And then exhale, bringing the knees back into a parallel. And in your parallel, you should have about a fist width distance between one another. No more, no less. We don't want to be super wide because what is happening here. Keep it narrow. We'll take this a few more times. Your goal here is to start to eliminate the wiggling that's happening in the pelvis, yeah? Whatever you were doing with your pelvis, you were dancing really hard or trying to get your leg up and not considering the health of your pelvis. You're going for aesthetics. This is your work to kind of undo what you were doing before, you crazy dancer. Yeah? So we're working to stabilize so we can keep the back healthy. And you're feeling the tone inside your hip bones on as you open, and then they deepen even more to bring the knees back. Good. Now, if you felt a lot of wiggling, this should help because we're going to stabilize the obliques. So just feeling a little bit more weight to the left side. We're going to open the right knee over to the right side, only so far as you can keep your hips level. And then you're going to bring that knee back. Good. So notice that you want to feel weighted on both sides of your sacrum. Good. Inhale, open, pausing before your pelvis tilts, and then drawing the knee back to a parallel. Watch this left leg. You want to keep your left leg in check. Let's do this one more time. Try to soften through your right shoulder. And then bringing that knee all the way back to a parallel. Good. And we're going to keep the right leg still, opening the left leg out to the left side. You'll notice one side is considerably easier than the other. Now notice if you've started to grip your butt to help you stabilize. We're really trying to use just the abs here. Softening the shoulders, soften your chest, soften your throat. You should feel your belly burning. Good. Now just a couple more times, we're going to open both knees out to either side. Bringing the knees back to center. Just feeling with your hands on your hips if you can keep your hips a little bit more stable now that we've really awakened the obliques. Good, one more time. Good. Cool, so still trying to keep the pelvis as stable for as long as possible. We're going to introduce a little bit of rotation. So let's just place your hands by your sides. Let's walk the knees and the feet all the way together. And then we're going to start to send the knees only to the right. You might want to bring a hand onto the left hip. And you're going to see how far your legs can go to the right before the hip bones unlevel themselves. So just try to deepen the range, go really, really slow. It's going to take your body sometimes kind of like a unnatural movement. So we're still working for that neutral, softening the chest, soften the right shoulder. Really think about twisting the left hip down as the knees go to the right. And at a certain point, we're like, that's as far as it's going to go. That's the end range. So let's just let the knees spill over to the right side, slowly, slowly. And as you allow your spine to rotate, you'll find that your legs will let go a little bit more and allow that to happen. Good. We'll just open the left arm out to the left side. Look over your left shoulder. Take a breath here. And then on your exhale, keeping the legs as heavy as you can for as long as possible. Twist your left hip down, 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 down. Once your hips are level, use your deep belly to bring your legs all the way back to center. Then the other side, so soft hand on your right hip, finding that neutral. Allow your knees to go over to the left. Good. Deep, deep folds in the front of the right pelvis half. Ooh, this side's a little harder for me. I'm going to breathe through it. I'm just making sure that there's space in between your hips and your ribs. And then you're going to allow the folding to happen until finally there's some rotation. And then my legs get to fold even more. And then I find that rotation. Open your right arm out to the right side. Look over your shoulder. Big breath, and then exhale. Reaching the right hip to the ground. Use your deep belly to bring your legs back up. Finding your neutral pelvis. Let's open the arms out to a gentle T. Just take that a little bit more quickly. So we're sending the knees to the right, keeping the left hip anchored down for as long as you can. And then allowing the knees to go all the way over. Complete the spiral, looking over the left shoulder. And then twisting the left hip down, down, down. The legs are heavy, heavy, heavy until we bring the pelvis back to level, gaze back to center. We'll send the knees over to the left. Heavy right hip, heavy, heavy, heavy. Gaze over the right shoulder. Softening the throat, the chest, the arms. And then anchoring the right hip down, 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 down. Sit bones are wide. Allowing the legs to follow, softening the chest. Big inhale, one more time. Knees to the right, left hip anchored. Looking over the left shoulder. And then sending the hip down. Heavy, heavy legs. Gaze back to center. Neutral pelvis, soften your pelvic floor, knees to the left, gaze to the right, heavy, heavy right hip, folding in the legs. Good, until the pelvis rotates, look over your right shoulder. And then anchoring the right hip down, bring the legs back to center. Amazing. Yeah, just take a little toss of the pelvis. Blah. Okay, so let's bring your hands to the butte. Bring your feet all the way together just so you know that when you separate them a little bit, that they're parallel. Really spread through your feet. So we're going to think about drawing the heels towards your sit bones. With your hands on your sit bones, notice if you really clench those sit bones together. Now, a lot of dance training, we clench, clench, clench. And so this is your time to allow the sit bones to widen, give your tailbone some space, let go of your pelvic floor for a moment. We're going to feel the tone coming together, but the bones stay wide, if that makes sense. So you can kind of palpate the top of your hamstrings. You want to feel some muscular tone there, but wide sit bones. With your wide sit bones, you're going to squeeze your heels towards your sit bones. And then this is going to hinge your pelvis up into a bridge, drawing the knees over your feet. Good. We're creating a flat surface across the front of your pelvis, yeah? And then let's just bring the hands down to a hover above the ground. This is the fun part. So you're going to widen your sit bones, catch your butt in your hands to a hover. We're still squeezing the heels towards the sit bones. And then reach your knees over your feet to lift your pelvis up. Now notice, I'm not doing my yoga bridge. I'm not shoving my ribs up towards the ceiling. Great type of bridge, but not what we're doing today. So you're going to try to soften, round through the upper back, feel your ribs integrated, your belly tightening. Good. And then let's catch the butt in your hands. Allow those sit bones to widen. Feel your low glute, high hamstring. Bring your knees over your feet. Good. And then catching the butt. You're breathing, and then exhale. Finding that low belly support, using it with your low glute, high hamstring. The gluteal fold is your best friend. Sit bones wide, reach the knees over the feet. Let's do this 3 more times. Sit bones wide, knees over the feet. One more time. Sit bones wide and knees over the feet. Cool. Place your hands firmly down. Let's include the arms in this exercise. So really spread through your palms and feel the back of your shoulders anchor into the ground. Good. So if you're in a lumbar flexion right now, it's probably not feeling so great in your back, and maybe you have a really tight psoas. So feel free to do all of this with just a hover above the ground, maybe even your pelvis is touching the ground, but you feel that activity. Or maybe you're feeling great. You're able to find this space in front of your pelvis by squeezing the bottom of your glute and using your low core. Yeah. I like to think about hooking my pubic bone towards my belly button, but keeping the sit bones as wide as possible. So with your height variation, you're going to step down into your left foot. So now you have 90% weight in your left foot and 90% weight in your right foot. And then we're going to switch. So we're going to press down into the right foot, 90% weight in the right foot, 10% weight in the left foot. We're just going to do a little march from side to side. It's a very internal sensation. Shifting from one foot to the other, and your goal is to avoid any dipping from one side to the other. So we're seeing as if I were watching you do this at home, and I wouldn't be able to notice what you're doing. That's how sneaky you are. Cool. And then we're gonna step down into the right hand. Soften your ribs. Right foot. And then you're gonna bring your right leg into a tabletop. I like to just drop my heel down to my butt so that I don't have to use my hip flexor a whole ton. And then we're gonna lower the pelvis down, sit bones widen, and then step down to that right foot, knee over your foot, bring your pelvis back up. And then lowering the pelvis down, sit bones widen, step down into your foot, bring your pelvis back up. Let's take that twice more. We're here for 2. Now you should really be feeling this. And if you're not feeling this, I want you to work deeper, focus more, put your phone down, whatever. What are you doing? Good, you're gonna put your left foot down. Exhale, step down to that left foot, no shifting the pelvis, right leg into the floppy top. You're gonna lower your pelvis down. Exhale. Really think about drawing your right sit bone to your left inner trochanter. Lesser trochanter, excuse me. So, if that is nonsense to you, right sit bone, right butt cheek towards your left inner thigh. That's just going to create a little bit more space between your ribs and your hips on the right side. Let's put that right foot down. Take a big inhale. And then step down to that right foot, left leg in table. We're going to flex left foot, send your legs straight up to the sky. Really reach your heel towards the ceiling. We're going to tap the back of the pelvis down. Both sides are trying to hit the ground at the same time, and then lift your pelvis back up, knee over your foot. So you're going to take that for 3 and 2. Really flex your foot hard, hard, hard. 1. And then we're going to lift the pelvis up. This time, point your toes, externally rotate your leg. We're going to lower the leg down to knee heights. Feel yourself push down into your right foot to lift your left leg back up. Just twice, 3 more times. 3 and 2 and last 1. Bend your knee, put your foot down. Step down to the left foot. Find your floppy top. Send your legs straight up towards the ceiling. Flex your ankle. We're going to lower the pelvis down. Both sides tap the ground at the same time, and then push your foot back up. Think about drawing that right sit bone to your lesser trochanter. Ischial tuberosity to your lesser trochanter. Find that space, find that length. We're going to do this twice more. And last one. Woo! Rotate your leg out, point through your toes. We're going to lower the leg down. Exhale. Push down that left foot, lift your leg. 3 more times. Good. 2 more. Last one. Bend your knee, put your foot down, reach your knees over your feet. Let's reach the arms up. Stretch through the sides of your waist. Reach your knees over your feet. Let's slowly articulate down your spine, one bone at a time, feeling space and length between every vertebra, stretching to the sides of your waist, reaching all the way into a neutral. Just open the arms out to a T. Allow your legs to spill one way and look over the opposite direction. Bring the legs back to center. Look over your right shoulder, knees to the other way. All right. So we're going to interdigitate the hands. Your hands are going to hold your head. So really using your arms, your triceps here, and your upper abdominals for this ab curl. So we'll take a big inhale. And then on your exhale, reach the sit bones into the ground. Exhale, find that upside down V, drawing your belly in. Lift the elbows ever so slightly, and then we're going to exhale, curl forward, finding an upper ab curl. We'll inhale, lower down, exhale, curling forward. So now we're finding a lot of stability in the pelvis. So we're making sure, you can look at me for a second, that as you curl, we're not crunching and bundling the low abdominals. See, there's like a little poof there. This is not what we want. So we're going to try to reach the sit bones down, flatten the abs wide. Inhale, finding that upside down V. Exhale, curling forward. Just going to take that twice more. Inhale, lower down. Exhale. Good. So we're going to keep the curl. And I just want you to imagine the muscles that you're going to need to lift your right leg and activate those right now. Notice there was no shifting in the pelvis, no puffing in the belly. You're going to put that leg down and then imagine the muscles you're going to need to lift your left leg. Activate those now. And then lowering the leg down. So your goal is to keep your hip flexor, your superficial hip flexors soft, and then only activate the deep ones, the psoas. We're going to exhale, curl forward. Activate the muscles on the right side, that psoas. We're going to bring that leg into a table. Lower that leg down. Activate the muscles on the left side. Bring it to a table. We're doing our floppy table. And then lower the leg down. And then activate the muscles on the right side. And then the left side. We're going to lower the head down, inhale. Exhale, curl forward. Good. 3 more times. Inhale, lower down. Exhale, deepen the belly. Exhale, curl. 2 more times. And last one. Good. So let's lower the feet down with control. We're going to send the legs long. Cool. So that was kind of upper abdominal intensive. Now we're really going to integrate the lower abdominals. So we're going to rotate the legs out and point through the toes. And for this one, I don't want us to do a neutral. We're going to try to protect the low back, but really try to keep your glutes relaxed for this one. So we're going to start to really scoop and flatten the low back down into the ground. If your low back does not flatten completely into the ground, that's the only thing I want you to work on. You can do the ab curl, but do not lift your legs. Just work on scooping, finding that deep ab work, and trying to flatten into the ground. That's already going to be hard enough for you, and lifting the legs is going to hurt your back, so we don't want you to do that. If your low back is firmly planted on the ground, let's all interlace the hands behind the head. You're going to take an inhale. Exhale, curl forward. And then we're going to try to keep that flattening into the ground. Point through the toes. Lengthen the space between the crown of your head and the tips of your toes. And you're just going to bring your legs into a tiny little hover. You should be shaking like a leaf. Then you're going to lower your legs down, lower your head down. We're gonna do that 7 more times. So you're gonna exhale, grow forward, flatten your back down, lengthen, get longer, then lift your legs, and then lower your legs down. Inhale, lower your head down. Oh my God, we're gonna do this for 6 more times. Exhale, curl. Lengthen your body, lift your legs. I'm shaking. Lower your head down. Inhale. 5, you're gonna exhale, curl forward, lengthen your body. The more you find length, the more you're going to shake. And then inhale, lower down. Exhale, curl forward. Lengthen your body, lift your legs. It's like I'm on a Jeep ride through the jungle. Inhale, exhale, curl. Lengthen your body. Let's do this one more time. Inhale. Exhale. Good. Let's hold for 3, 2, and 1. And lower everything down. Whew. Okay. So lie on your right side. You're going to align your head, your shoulder, your hip on one long line. I really don't want you to be curled in this forward position. You're in one long line. You're going to grab your hip. We're going to start to hike the hip up towards your ribs and then lengthen the hip out long. This is just a little bit of exploratory movement, so just tune into the sensation of it. Reaching long, try to reach your left sit bone past your right sit bone, and then hiking again. Just take a couple of those, see how it feels. Then we're going to start to send the hip forward and then bring the hip back and take a couple of those. So we're trying to find a little bit of hip differentiation here. And hip differentiation is when you differentiate your hip from your leg. So the hip is moving forward and back, but your leg is just going along for the ride. So try to just let your leg be heavy. Try not to lift your leg up at all. It's just relaxed. And then we're going to go into a circle, circling around. Imagine the side of your hip is cleaning out the inside of a peanut butter jar. You're getting all the peanut butter because you bought the expensive organic kind, and you cannot leave any little bits left because that would be a waste of money. And then we're going to reverse the circle. Notice where the bumps in the road are, if there are any places where it needs some extra love. And we're going to find stacked hips, stacked shoulders. Widen those sit bones of yours, and we're going to send your top leg long. We're just going to try to have a really relaxed foot. Lift your belly. It's like you're doing a side plank underneath your side waist. So your shoulder is basically acting as your hand as the base, and if you were to palpate your obliques here, there's a lot of activity. They're really, really on, and we want to keep that happening. So with a relaxed foot, we're going to lower the foot down to the floor, and then we're going to lift the leg up just a little bit above hip height. And the whole time thinking about the sit bones wide, the front of your pelvis wide. We're not tucking, we're not gripping the hips. We're really feeling the work just behind the greater trochanter on the side. And we're going to breathe through this. I'm softening my neck, the shoulder, the chest. I'm making sure my ribs aren't flaring. I'm gathering them in towards my center. And again, wide sit bones. Let's keep the leg lifted, and we're going to start to rotate that leg all the way into internal rotation, and then we're going to rotate all the way into external rotation, and then all the way into internal rotation, and all the way into external rotation. Take a few more of these, feeling that femur bone rotate inside the acetabulum, yeah? What kind of articulation can you get? Both the internal and the external rotation are really important. Good, and then we're gonna rotate the leg out into external, lifting the belly. We're gonna send the leg forward as the sit bones reach back in space. We're not tucking, we're widening those sit bones. And we're gonna bring the leg back in line with your hip socket. Then we're gonna bring the leg forward, reaching the sit bones back, flaring the sit bones wide, bringing the leg back. Just 2 more times, bringing it forward, and then bringing it on back. Last time, sending the sit bones back as the leg goes forward, and then bringing it back. We're gonna rotate the leg all the way internal, bringing the leg forward in the internal, bring the leg back in the internal, still lifting the belly. Make sure your hips are still stacked, one on top of the other, bringing the leg back. 2 more times. And then last time, we're gonna bring that leg forward, lower the leg down, and then lift your leg up. Wide sit bones. Good. Good. Really, really rotating that leg in. Wide sit bones, lifting the belly, soften your chest, soften your neck. Just 4 more times. Good. 2. 1. Good. Lower that leg down. Oh. Okay, lie on your back. We're gonna find a figure 4. Left ankle over your right knee. Interlace your hands behind your right thigh. Big breath in. Really try to hook your sit bones into the ground rather than letting yourself tuck. We're going to hook those sit bones in. I don't care how close to your face your legs are. I care more about how wide your sit bones are. And from there, you'll create more flexibility. We're going to keep the figure 4 shape. Plant your left foot on the right side of your body. Open your left arm out to the left side and grab on the outside of your left ankle with your right hand. From here, widen your sit bones. Try to touch your left butt cheek to the ground. It might not quite make it. And then from here, you can kind of play with left leg going away a little bit, or it's coming a little bit closer. Kind of just depends on how your body's feeling today, the shape of your hip sockets, your femur bone. Whew. Cool. Let's go to the other side. So, turn around. Lie on your left side. First, just aligning yourself through your plumb line. Bring your hand to your hip and just go right into those hip hikes. Hiking the hip up and then lengthening your right sit bone longer than your left. Heavy right leg is just going for the ride. And then we'll start to send the right hip forward and then bringing the hip back. Heavy right leg. Breathing. We'll go into a circle. Notice where the kinks are. Try not to skip any parts of your circle. I do this one every day. It really helps me. I'm super mobile in my pelvis, which also means if you're very hypermobile, you'll get to know that and wherever you have hypermobility, there'll probably also be places where you're really tight because you're going into the hypermobility. And so I've found when I move through all the ranges of motion of my pelvis, it helps me be less stuck and I experience less SI joint pain. So maybe it'll be helpful for you. Good. And then we're going to find hips stacked, shoulders stacked. Wide sit bones. Send your right leg long. We're going to lower the leg down. Lift your belly. Find your side plank abs. And we're going to lift the leg up and then lower the leg down. Side plank abs, you lift up. Here, where the pelvis is stable and our leg is mobile. Yeah, the theme of the day. We're playing with that idea of stability versus mobility. Good. Next time your leg is lifted, really relax your foot, and we're going to rotate the leg all the way internal and then rotate all the way external. Yeah, so we're trying to retrain neuromuscular patterns. And if you're a training ballet dancer, if you're a professional ballet dancer, your foot is going to want to point and it's going to want to do what it knows. Very good at this type of rotation. But if we relax the foot, your body's like, what do we do? I don't know what to do. And then you get to tell your body what it's going to do rather than relying on the patterns it's already been doing for years and years. So relax your foot and see if maybe you can find more range of motion in either direction. It's important to have options, right? So let's rotate the leg out, still trying to relax the foot. We're going to send the leg forward, widen the sit bones, and then we're going to bring the leg back. 3 more times, bringing that leg forward, widen the sit bones, and then bring the leg back, lift up in the belly. 2 more times, sending the leg forward, sit bones reach back, and then bringing the leg back last time. And then we're going to rotate all the way in. We're going to send the leg forward in that internal rotation, making sure the hips are still stacked, belly is still lifted. You're finding your side plank abs and bringing that leg back 3 more times. Lots of internal rotation. Soften the shoulders, soften your jaw. This time we're going to bring the leg forward and lower the toes down. We're going to lift the heel up, lower the toes down. Spread your sit bones, distract yourself by using your belly. We're almost done. Good, almost there for 2 and 1. Whew. Okay, lie on your back. Oh, cross the right ankle over your left knee, interlace your hands behind your left thigh. Really hooking the sit bones into the ground. We'll plant the left foot down, right foot onto the outside of the left body. Grab your right ankle with your left hand, open your right hand up to the right side. And just play with it a little bit. You can kind of dance the hips around a little bit, find where the stretch is for you. The more you can widen the sit bones and reach the right glute towards the ground, the more of a stretch you will feel. All right, so let's get on it. We're gonna set up for an all fours position. So my biceps are wrapping forward. My middle finger's pointing forward in the same direction. For this first part, let's bring our toes together, knees wide, staying strong through the arms. We're gonna inhale, arch the spine, lift the gaze. Sit all the way back onto the heels of your feet, and then on your exhale, round your spine, push down through the ankles, and you're gonna bring your body weight forward. Inhale, arching, sit bones wide, and then sitting all over your heels. Exhale, scoop, scoop, scoop in that belly to bring you all the way up, firmly pressing down through the shins and ankles. And then inhale, lift the gaze, sitting all the way back. Good. Let's find a parallel with the legs. Tuck the toes, find the pads of your feet. Walk your hands about, 4 more inches out farther. And then just push into your hands, feel the soles of your feet stretch. Strong through the arms, try to wrap those biceps forward. Good. So from here, we're going to
go back to that hinging bridge that we did earlier. So open up through your collarbones, widen through your back space, and create space between your shoulders and your ears. And then we're gonna push into the feet. Actively press your knees away from one another so you feel the entire glute kind of turn on. And we're gonna try to keep that activity going. Put your brain in the bottom of your glute, the top of your hamstring. You're gonna send your pelvis forward, creating that bridge that we did at the beginning. Shine your heart forward, include your head. And then we're gonna widen the sit bones to reach the sit bones back. The whole time trying to press those knees away from one another, feeling the outer glute kick on, sending the heart forward, really trying to lift the belly away from the waistband of the pants. Now, if you want to look at a little sneaky treat here, which is we can kind of curl the pelvis forward, and really it's a lot of gripping in the hips, the hip flexors, and I'm like kind of pooching out with my belly. This is not what we want. So we want to find that flat, wide surface, sending the glute forwards, and then bringing it back. So it's just longer, more open, more spacious. You can take your time with this. We're gonna take this 2 more. Really put your brain in that glute fold, sending the glute fold forwards. Good. So we're gonna sit about halfway back, float the knees off, and then send yourself all the way out to a plank. Same idea here. We don't want to tuck the pelvis and round through the upper back. Find lots of space between your tailbone and the top of your head. Reach your sit bones back, and then push into your feet, legs long, back the neck long. Take that 7 more times. Push all the way through. Good. We're here for 6. Lots of space. Finding that glute fold. Good. We're here for 4. And 3. Lifting the belly away from the waistband of the pants. We're here for 2. And last one. Good. Let's lift the heels. Press back through a down dog. I'm not really going to walk through or break down the down dog for now. I'm just going to walk it out, take a little stretch, feel your sit bones flare. Let's send your right leg up, just going for a stretch. Bend your knee, lengthening out long. We're going to bring the right knee to the outside of your right hand. And then from here, allow your hips to sink down. This is a lot about sensation. So what we're trying to do is open up the hip flexor. So just allowing kind of the left leg to detach from the pelvis a little bit, being really loose like a rag doll. And then from here, you're gonna power down through your arms, round through your upper back, lift your belly away from your pants. And we're gonna try to lift the bottom half of the ribs up towards the ceiling while letting the leg be like a rag doll. And then from here, allowing the left leg to lengthen out, softening through the palms. Just let yourself kind of be loose through the shoulders. I'll just take that one more time. Power down, try to push the floor away. Very, very active stretch here. Rounding through the upper back. And then softening on down. We'll tuck the back toes. Press yourself back to a down dog. We'll stretch the left leg up. Do whatever you gotta do here. And then we'll bring the left knee to the outside of your left wrist. Take a little stretch. Get yourself comfortable. We'll press down through the arms, really rounding through that upper back, mid back, lifting the 12th rib up towards the ceiling. Let the leg be a ragdoll, and then sinking down. So what we're doing was we're trying to release the deep hip flexor, the psoas. It's attached to your bottom of your 12th thoracic spine, vertebrae, and your lesser trochanter. So we're trying to create space between those two by lifting the 12th rib, the 12th vertebrae up towards the ceiling. Really active, allowing the leg to be like a rag doll. And then softening down, trying to maintain that length. Tuck your toes. Find your down dog. One last time, just pedaling it on out. Good. And then go ahead, come on down. Let's one more time lie down on your back and kind of check in from the beginning. Right away, let your body melt into gravity. Try to send your breath once again into your pelvis, allowing the bones of the pelvis to widen, allowing the breath to rise up into the low belly like you're filling a balloon up with air. All the strengthening we did was really important, strengthening work. It's also important to know that you need to be able to release your belly at many points throughout the day. And it's just as important to release the belly as it is to pull it in. So hopefully by having a Pilates practice, you will start to train your body to know when to engage your belly and when is it safe to let it go. So now you're lying on the ground. This is a safe place to let your belly go. Let's go to the back of the head, measure the weight of your skull in the mat. Can you measure the space behind the back of your neck? How deep is your thoracic spine dipping into the ground? And where does your back depart from the ground? How much space behind your low back is there between your low back and the mat? Allowing your pelvis to be the image of a flower opening in the morning. Could you measure the weight of your thighs? How much space do you have behind the backs of your knees? How much do your calves weigh? How much space is behind the back of your ankles? How much does your heel bones weigh? Then could you soften your sternum down into the mat, allowing your collarbones to widen? Could you soften the front of your throat? Let go of any tension you might be holding in your face. Take a big breath in. Exhale it all out. One more time, big breath in. Exhale, let your body drop into gravity. Thank you for joining me in this full workout. I hope you got some useful information, and I hope that you use this again and again and again, because I definitely use these exercises all the time. They're endlessly interesting to me, and I always keep exploring, finding new things, new nuances. Yeah, so just really enjoy this. It's my gift to you. You can go on our website, view the rest of our videos. We have more workouts, fitness routines, educational breakdowns. Those are all great tools to put in your little dancer toolbox. So commit to a lifestyle of movement. Thank you for joining me. I'm Emma, and have a great day.